Okay, good morning. I need a new story, Groomed Out. We're not going to start working on this story yet, but I do need this groomed out on Monday the 14th as we're making a decision on this client if we're going to pursue the sale. So, Amali, I'd like this to be your first task before you move on to your stories that you've been working on. Okay, so essentially, it is when managing groups, I need more flexibility on how the rooming list can be entered. So I'm going to jump over to room key, and what you'll see here, I have the Oak Tree 2 group. The arrival date is April 1st for 2 nights, and you'll see that I have 3 pre and 3 post night available. I have rates attached, that doesn't matter for this demo. And if I go to block, you'll see on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which are my 3 pre-nights, I have no block. And then on Friday, April 1st, I have 5 rooms. Saturday, April 2nd, I have 5 rooms. And then on Sunday, April 3rd, I have no rooms. So because I have 5 rooms in block each day, if I go to the rooming list gives me 5 spaces. Now, I'm going to demo something first before I get to the main point. Let's say I go to the rooming list. I put someone in. Now see how room key automatically defaults to the arrival date of the group and the number of nights of the group. And if I click post, no problem, because of course that is taking the rooms in block. Now if I go to enter in someone else, and let's say that this person is going to do a post night, so now they're staying for 3 nights. As soon as I click post, so even though I have this line, I can change these dates. As soon as I click post, room key is still going to look back to the block. And it's going to tell me, no, the block is overbooked on the 3rd because I have no rooms on the 3rd. So the only way to book this is to click on enable overbooking and click post. Now, of course, what that does to the block is you end up with on Friday, 5 in block, 2 picked up, 5 in block, 2 picked up. And then here you have 0 in block and 1 picked up because you never did really put that in the block. You just overbooked it. You allowed for that booking. Okay. So the main point I want to make here is no matter what you enter on the rooming list, room key after clicking post will always check the block to see if the rooms are there. So that's important to know for the next thing we get to. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to put in 2 other people, Frank, Yellow, John, Blue. Click post on them. Okay, now for the last one, I'm going to put in Barry, Mac. Now Barry is not staying both nights. He's actually only staying 1 night. So if I bring this down to 1 night and click post, I have a problem. And the problem is this room I picked up for that last night. So here we have 5 in block, 5 picked up. But the second night I only have 5. I have 5 in block, but only 4 picked up. So I actually have 1 room available on April 2nd. The problem is the rooming list doesn't give me a space to put that in. Even if I close out and go back into groups, go to Oak Tree 2, open, I go to rooming list. It still is not giving me that space. Now, right now, what I can do is I can actually go make a reservation under group, and this would be April the 2nd. Oak Tree 2, and there I see the room available. I see my rate, book it. And now if I go back to the rooming list, we can actually see Alice Green there. So what ends up happening is Barry Mack is taking April 1st for one night, and Alice Green is taking April 2nd for one night, thus making the pickup 0. So the real problem is we're not able to do that kind of separation of rooms. Now, what I just showed you where you can go make a reservation, that's fine, but what if the group, had like had a lot more rooms, so then 10 and 10. And now if I go to the room list, now funny enough, say how I even put in 5 more rooms, right? I have 5 available on, I have remaining. I have 5 remaining on April 1st and 5 remaining on April 2nd, but the rooming list is only giving me 4, and that's because the Alice Green reservation kind of pushed it all down, right? So it's just not, we didn't make this smart enough to give enough lines. Now, we had talked about making room keys smart enough that if you only take one night, it would automatically add another line. But the problem is you're going to get blocks where people are holding 5 rooms the first night, 10 rooms the next night, and 3 rooms on the third night. It just gets too complicated for how many lines that room key should actually enter. So that brings us to the add a line feature. Now, I put in a screenshot. Oops. Oh, that's a task for you, Amali. Sorry, here's the attachment. Okay, so basically I put in add lines. Click the little plus symbol. I should be able to choose the room type and the number of that room type. Okay, so I could put in standard room and I could do 5 lines. Or I could choose loft and I could choose 10 lines or whatever. It does not matter. Okay, and this, I am not married to this little plus symbol. Like even Lewis was saying, maybe we should just make it a separate pop-up window. You click plus and it pop-up window and build it in there. I do not care, quite frankly. Make it look pretty, as I know you guys know how to do, but the overall goal is to add lines. Now, remember I showed you earlier that no matter how many lines I have here, room key is still going to go back to the block and double check it. So quite frankly, I don't care if they add 20 lines, 30 lines, 100 lines. I don't care. Because as soon as you enter in the reservation, here, as soon as I click post, room key is going back to check the block to see if it's there. So it doesn't matter how many lines we enter. The onus is kind of on the agent to know what they're doing, but as long as we're doing that last minute check on the block. So, but on this add line feature, I want to make sure that we don't break the, clicking post and checking the block thing. Okay. The overall goal is add as many lines as you want so that you can deal with the situations where you have 1 and 1 like that. Okay. And again, however you guys want to do it, within this separate pop-up, down at the bottom, whatever makes sense to add lines, I'm open to. Okay. Now on that, I want to have a permission, a clerk permission, which is disallow add line on group room list. So everyone should have it. If they have access to groups area, they're going to have this, but this clerk permission will be disallow add line on room list. So it'll be on the right hand side and if they push it over, so it's one of those reverse permissions. Ignore this for now. This is another part of there's a separate story about allowing 0 night bookings, but it's a much bigger story. This is separated out. Okay, so that's fine. Oh, I didn't change the number here, 6864. We separated this into 2 stories, so have add line option, clerk permission. We'd be able to select room type and as many lines as needed. Yeah, and that just talks about doing it. And then I just give an example. And then upon closing, extra lines are going to disappear. Extra lines should disappear. Are gonna. So all we're saying here is if I add 20 lines by only use another 5, then we should default back to how many room key inherently added. You know what I mean? So if room key only added 4, even though we know we have 5 in block, if I add 10 more lines, it'll go back down to the 4. So that may be more difficult. It's basically removing unused lines except for the ones that are in block, essentially, or what originally room key does. Okay. Adding lines to the block or adding lines to the rooming list does not add to the rooms in block. It's only when you enter in the reservation, that's where it does it. So that's why we want to kind of clear it out if you close this screen, because if the person adding them at that time adds them, they know that they add them. But if we left it there, someone else comes back, they may go, well, why do I have 5 rooms of block, but I have 30 lines? They don't know that the other person added those 25 lines. So that may be a little bit more difficult, but I think if we just revert back to what it was is the idea. And that's it. So what I need is I need time on this. I need tasks on this. We're trying to judge how big this development is for this company before we send it out there. I'll just tell you a little side note. Now, this is not for you guys to groom at this point, but we are going to be looking into making 0-night bookings. So check in and check out on the same day. Right now, if I try to do that on the rooming list, I can't do that. So that'll be a change. I can enter it in, but I think it errors out. Yeah, no, it even changes it. So that's something that's going to be coming on the rooming list as well. And on a reservation, when I click new res, you can't go down to 0 if you type it in, get error. And if you try to change that to 13th, it doesn't allow you to. But the effect it has on our reports is pretty good. Anyways, so that's going to be Lewis, myself, and Bryn are sizing that one out right now. I just need you guys to focus on this. I just want to give you guys a heads up on the 0 one. It's probably going to come your way. Okay, so ignore 6808 for now. I need grooming on 6864, and I do need that done tomorrow before you start back in on your task. So right now, you guys should not be doing any testing, right? We're back into stories until Tuesday anyways. Okay, thank you. Have a good night. Talk to you tomorrow.